Alright, welcome once again to another episode of Poncho's Paint Booth. Real quick, if you haven't done so already, go to the YouTube channel here, like and subscribe, leave a review and a rating on any or all the videos, actually. And also, while you're at it, go ahead and check out my other playlists on this channel. Aside from Poncho's Paint Booth, is Gutsy Gamer. That's my video game stream, and Jankety Ass Podcast. That's the video version of my podcast, which you can find the audio version on every major podcast platform now. And also go to Instagram and Facebook and look up Multi-Murdy Media, like and send me a DM, whatever. Go and like all the posts, and basically just use it to stay in touch with any news regarding my little network that I have going on here, and also announcements for videos and shows and all that stuff. And lastly, if you go to the video description or the description of the video here, you'll also see a link for all my links page, which will have all the links to the YouTube here, my Instagram, Facebook page, and also every the link to like every platform that has my podcast, and you'll also find a couple of Amazon or not playlists, wish lists. One of them is for my music list that directly supports the Jankety Ass podcast. If you buy a CD, I'll review it on the show and give you a shout out, whoever you are. There's also a 40K Amazon wish list that is all, just like a bunch of 40K models. I just put them all together. If you get something off of there for the show that supports this show, I'll eventually work on it and, again, give you a shout out, whoever you are, wherever you are. Now, onto this. We are now on the fourth segment of the Silent King. So this time you've seen here, I'll go ahead and pull it up. Up until now, we have finished his floating dais with all the bits and stuff. This thing's really big. There we go. Zoom out a little bit. And we've also finished the triarchal miniers. These things kind of float along with him and blast stuff and take hits. So now what we're going to work on is, and I'll bring it down, the actual guys themselves. So you'll see we've got a couple things going on here. So we have these two guys in the middle are primarily what we're going to be starting on first. These are the Phaeron lords who basically run side saddle in his dais here. One of them has a basically like a super staff. One of them has a big melee weapon. And these guys are going to be done primarily in the kind of the same the colors that I did the Necron warriors up in, with obviously a few more embellishments because they're lords. However, and then this big guy is Szarekh, the Silent King himself. You'll notice that as a model, he's quite a bit bigger than the other two guys. And this guy is going to be done up mostly in gold, so that'll be interesting. And then last, there's this cape thing, which actually goes behind the Silent King. If I can, yeah, it's kind of ungainly. But and then this thing flows down the steps on the dais. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna set this guy aside first, and I'm gonna work on I'll do the body colors for the phaerons. That's gonna be done with our steel gray paint. That's our grayish blue. And then let's see, do these really? Yeah. So there's like a bunch of nicks and scratches on the body as well, so those are going to be filled in with the Drakenhof Nightshade to kind of give it some more texture and color. And then also at the same time, I'm going to start working on the cape. which is the main color. I have another Turbo Dork color, the 3D glasses. So again, if you remember from before, these paints basically use incident angles to change the variation of color depending on what angle you're looking at the surface. So this one in particular goes from like a purple, kind of like a deep purple, to this dark blue-green color. And let me now I'm not actually, so it'll be interesting to see how the colors actually shift, because I haven't actually used this color yet. But that's going to be going on pretty much all of the cape here. Sorry about that. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and let's see. Again, I got to shake these up real nice, and it's going to... Well, let me start on the cape, and let's just see how that looks. Alright, so that's most of the cape done. That's the kind of the color that we're looking at. As you can see, it's pretty much, if you're looking at it straight on, it's the blue-green color. But as you sort of start to tilt, maybe I can get the effect here. At least from where I'm looking at, whenever the angle becomes more extreme, that's where you start getting into I'm going to take another coat at least. So I'm going to set the cape aside, and we're going to go ahead and switch gears and get into the phaerons here. Alright, so that pretty much settles the cape color. There isn't really much more I can do on that, other than the little whatchamacallit, the little square bits that are kind of hanging off, but you can't really see those that well. But yeah, so that's it for the 3D glasses color. Steel gray is also on and good to go. So now I'll just go ahead and go back in with the nightshade and hit these few elements around. So just kind of like these spaces and the arches of the feet, for example. Some other little nicks and scratches all over. And dents. Let's see. Oh, and of course these rib openings. And sort of around the face too. What else am I missing? Just on this side. But there. Alright. And now this guy. So feet. A little bit. Ooh. That was a little much. Alright. Got enough of it out. Like so. Okay. Yep. So that is good enough for now. We're going to go ahead and let these guys dry off. And once we come back, continue from there. Alright, continuing on with these guys. Everything we did before has already dried, so like the main skin colors on our phaerons here and the cape. So what we're going to do now is just like we did with the warriors, we're going to move on and do some dry brushing work with scorpion green. So that's going to go over, it's going to be dry brushed over all of the blue parts on the phaerons here. And I'm also going to do it at least to the edges of the cape, and then also in all of these spots where there's kind of like a pixelated matter sort of moving. Well, you can kind of see here. I'm going to highlight all those areas with the scorpion green as well. So, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, skin or armor done, and this cloak is more or less done. There are a few missing elements still. There's these connectors kind of at the top that are going to go into our Silent King soon. But first, let me get this space cleaned up a little bit. Do away with that. Don't need the green anymore. So now, we're going to do, this is going to go to the side. For now, we don't need that. But our big boy is going to be coming in now. And what I'm going to do, just again, like we did with the warriors, it's time for the rough iron. This is going to go into all of the inner mechanics and joints and stuff. So, basically like on their feet, knees, all these joints in the legs, and the back of the head, and a little bit of the spine, although you can't see it as much with these guys since they have these pipes coming out of the back. I don't know if you can see from there. Might be, well, you get the idea. And we're going to do the same thing with the main dude here. Pretty much in all the same sections, there's just a lot more of them. And also, let me think. Yeah, we're also going to be doing the rough iron along the haft of their stabs, or glaive in this guy's case. And don't worry about them falling down a bunch. There's no basis for these guys. These are going to go onto the the main model once I'm done here. But so yeah, rough iron, and then also as before, we give those areas a layer of the Agressive shade. So I'll start with the phaerons and save the big F for last. Let's go ahead and get into it. Sweet, that is that step done. And you did notice that it finally happened. I finally spilled some of my wash, but fortunately this bottle is just about empty. There's just some dregs in the bottom. I do have a full one, but I was lucky it was this one that spilled. So I didn't really have much of a cleanup. Just enough to pause to actually do it for. But so anyways, you already saw that we got the green stuff done, and we added some wash to if this guy can stand up, the inner components on all three of these guys, and we're going to let that dry and before moving on. Continuing on with our Silent King and his... I don't need this. Our Silent King and his cronies. So, let's see. So next what we've got to do is a couple things. First, we're going to go back over all these parts that have that had the rough iron done. So, like, especially around the knees and the legs and yada yada. And we are going to dry brush on our true copper, just like we did with the warriors earlier, so that's going to make those parts stand out. And then, real quick, I'm going to hit the exposed pipes and stuff with ash gray. And once again, give them the Nuln Oil treatment to get some detail in there. So, first off, we'll start off with the copper, and yeah, let's just go ahead and get into it. So, yeah, we got some detail, a little bit of detailing done. I'm actually going to wait a minute before... I'll apply the null oil off camera because it is taking a little bit longer to dry for the piping and stuff. But as you can see, we got a little bit on our king's abdomen here. Once I put the actual armor color on, that's going to... You barely even notice that. But then, more importantly, they have these big pipes coming out of their backs, and that's going to hook into the actual dais itself. Once I get these guys glued down and all that, so we'll let this dry for now, and we'll come... Are you listening to this show and thinking, man, I'd like to start a podcast, but I don't even know where to start? Well, Buzzsprout has the answers for you. Buzzsprout is a podcast hosting service that provides a number of valuable resources to help you on your podcasting career path. For one, Buzzsprout offers indefinite hosting of all your episodes and allows you to host as much material as you want, depending on the type of subscription that you opt for. Buzzsprout also provides a means for getting your show hosted to every major podcasting platforms such as iTunes, Pandora, Spotify, you name it. In addition, Buzzsprout also provides various means to get your show monetized through various sponsorship and affiliate programs, links to other paid hosting platforms such as Patreon and YouTube, and your own personal newsroom to learn all the tips and tricks for optimizing your podcast for the greatest return on your investment. If you're hearing all this and you're still interested, you can go to my link below and receive an Amazon gift card for starting a podcast hosting subscription that you'll receive on the second billing period of your podcast journey. Everyone has something to share, and there's no time like the present. Join Buzzsprout today. Alright, it's time to get on to some more of the interesting details with our Silent King and his buddies. The first thing I want to do is, you'll notice here on his staff, there's like this circular rock formation kind of in the middle there. And what I want to do is, I want to make that look the same as the menhirs that we did in the first video, or the premiere video. So like this kind of dark bluish green rock type of stuff, and that was done with our darknet turbo dark color. And we're going to do that same thing with that small part, and small, by small I mean like really small. So this should be easy and quick. That was all filler. Okay, easy and quick. I don't think that was quite what I wanted either. There we go. Alright, so let's see how this one look. Should just be, yeah, a little bit. A little bit all around. It won't, you won't really be able to see it that well. Probably on the, well, yeah, you can see a little bit. It's like a little bit of a weird darkish glowing blue. And that's just what the paint looks like. Make sure I get the edges around here. I don't really have to worry about the trim on the staff that's holding this. piece into place because I'm just gonna paint over that later. So, and I don't think I probably won't worry about doing the like the really light green dry brush on this element either, just since it's so small compared to the larger menhirs. Or well, maybe I will later. I still have time. So for now, that part is done. And now this next part is going to take a little bit longer. So what we're going to do now is, you'll remember when I was doing up the warriors, their shoulders and sternum piece, I used radium color, which is kind of like it's like a dark gold. Again, that sort of filters down to kind of like more of a greenish gold. Well, these guys have a lot more parts that are, kind of meant to be fancy like that, I guess would be the word. So on the regular guys here, that is actually going to be, well, the shoulder pads again, but then they also have the loin piece, as well as these two, whatchamacallit, pieces hanging off of their lapels, I think it'd be the right word. And then, of course, this big collar coming up. Let's see. Oh, and I guess I might as well do the bottom, the butt of the staves as well. And yeah, same thing for the other phaeron. On the cloak, which I'll actually do up first, these the top points here, these connectors, like the actual body of it, there you can kind of see like a little clip, sort of. That's also going to be using radium. But then the centerpiece, his entire body is going to be done with radium. Now, since the top of the staff is drying for the moment, I'll do him last. And this cloak, since it's just a small part and I haven't really touched it in a while. Sorry, I got something in my throat, I guess. But I will do that first. So let's get this thing shook up and let's get started. look at that. All sorts of gold. It's a little on the tacky side, but it's an interesting effect. So even as you can see, looking down on the camera, like a lot of the edges that you can't really, or the surfaces that are kind of tilted away from your vision, that's where you're getting that incident angle effect with this radium color. But as I kind of go closer, oh yeah, nice and gold. And I am going to have to do something eventually to fill in the, like all those little engraving details, kind of like in the thighs here. Can't really see that well right now. And also to get back some of the details in the face and the ribs, and maybe a little bit too with the phaerons here. But actually, let me see if I can get you a good look at these guys. Yeah, nice and shiny. Also, I'm not sure what happened with this one. Looks like he managed to get some paint on the side of his face there, but I'll sort that out later. For now, we'll let that dry, and we will pick up on it shortly. Alrighty, continuing on. So what we're going to do now is, well, we're going to start getting into the smaller stuff. First thing I'm going to do is we're going to go over a few parts with our white, matte white, or what is this, dragon white. And so what that's going to be, is it's going to be used for the base of all of our green glow effects. And also what I'm going to do with the blades on all of their staffs. It's going to be a little bit different. But so yeah, mostly going to go on their staffs, and then also on the little connectors here on the cape. And then I am going to go in with our pure red again, just a little bit, because each of these guys has at least one wire in their midsection here, and then of course to treat the eyes as well. So yeah, we're just going to go ahead and do that first, and let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so we got our white base done for some of the special effects I'm going to do. And I did up the cables in the eyes. That was with the red. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to start adding some of these effects in. So, for like the green glowing effects, like all these orbs and stuff like that, just like before with the warriors, we're going to use Hexwraith Flame. But then for the actual blades on the staves, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to use a different contrast. And that is Iandin yellow. And what this is going to do is it's going to make it kind of like a flame effect. So I want like a burning blade effect. And it works the same way as the Hexwraith Flame, but it'll be easier if I just go ahead and show you. Okay, there you go. We got some glowy effects down. Nice and contrasty too, which is kind of what I was going for. Because as you see, once these guys are installed onto the actual dais itself, that nice orange color is going to really pop. But we aren't there yet. So what I want to do now is I got one more thing that I want to do real quick, and that, speaking of where the hell did my brush go? Oh, here we go. Get the little one out again. What I'm going to do now, speaking of contrast, is on these parts that I did up with the radium paint, you'll notice, especially on the Silent King here, well, there's a lot of like engravings and stuff. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pop those out by filling them in with a little bit of known oil, just so that they're nice and dark. And yeah, mostly on him. There's a little bit on these guys as well, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. There we go. It's not quite as what's the word I'm trying to think of? It's not quite as visible what I just did, but you can kind of see the rib definition a little bit better. And then also there's some like there in the helmet, and I think a little bit along the thigh you might be able to see. Regardless, we're going to let this dry for now, and we will come back to it in a second. Alright guys, the good news is that we are just about done with these guys, which means that we are just about done with the Silent King in full. That's 4 episodes down. So, the last thing that we need to do is there's just a couple spots that need to be filled in around, mainly on their staves. So, let's see, was there something else actually? No, just the staves. So, what I'm going to do is, as you'll see, each of these guys has this energy coil thing right below the head of whatever they're using, staff or glaive. And then and then also in our king's staff, he also has these prongs that go around this little piece of rock that he's got in the middle of his staff, as well as the coil. And then there's also a couple of connectors to this big orb down at the bottom, which actually, okay, him I don't have to worry about that much. And the cloak is done. We don't need to touch that anymore. So what we're going to do is we're going to hit those parts with our shining silver. So let's go ahead and get that started. Alright, so there you have it. That is all the painting, all the hard work on the Silent King is finally finished and paid off. So now we're going to get to the real fun part, is attaching this guy, these guys actually, to the base. So starting with the two phaerons, of course. Let's see, so here on the central platform. So I'll go ahead and, well, it's going to take a bit to glue because you're also going to have to, I guess, kind of watch it dry. So let's go ahead and see what this guy looks like in his final form. Da-da-da. There we go. Our Silent King is finally complete. He is on his dais, which is too big for the camera. And to top it off, we also have, from the first part of the video, the triarchal menhirs, which actually normally would follow kind of in front of our dude here. You see, maybe if I angle up a little bit, okay, you can kind of get a slightly better view. But anyways, as I said, that is the Silent King completely finished. Let's go ahead and pan out to my beautiful face, and of course, the side. Goddamn, this thing's huge. But anyways, so I and our big guy here, thank you for watching another episode of the Poncho's Paint Booth. I almost said Jankety Ass Podcast. That's my podcast, which you can also get if you're watching this. While you are watching this here on YouTube, like and subscribe to Multi-Murdy Media. That's my channel. You get this playlist, the Poncho's Paint Booth. You get the Jankety Ass Podcast. It's the video form of my podcast. And you also get, I just had a brain fart. You also get the Gutsy Ass Gamer playlist. That is my Twitch stream, which right now I'm playing through Fallout 4 in survival mode, which is the super hard mode. Let's see. Also, if you go to Instagram or Facebook, look up Multi-Murdy Media, like and subscribe there. You'll get all the updates for new shows that as they come out, or maybe just a little bit after. You know, it takes time. Put this guy down here. And of course, if you'd rather listen to my podcast, that's the Jankety Ass Podcast again, you can find it on every major podcasting platform and a bunch of non-major ones as well. I'm out there now. It's pretty easy to do, actually. Last but not least, if you go down to the All My Links website, in the show description here. You will also find a couple of Amazon wish lists. You'll find you'll find a 40K wish list, which directly supports this show. If you get me a model off of my, or a model kit or whatever off of my wish list there, you'll get a shout out, of course, and it's more content for me to work on here on the show. And maybe we can even work out like some sort of commission sort of thing. So, hey, you might get my work, but at the very least, you'll get recognized. And you'll also find a music wish list in there that is albums that I've handpicked that, well, I want, let's be real. But if you get something off of there, then you'll also be featured on my podcast, Jankety Ass Podcast. You get a shout out. And again, more content, we'll review it, yada yada. So, for now, like I said, like and subscribe here. Leave a comment, leave a review, whatever it is. And of course, stay tuned because I got a bunch more videos coming out. So, with that said, thanks for watching, and I will see you again very soon.